Hi, this is Todd, and welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. Today's podcast is how to be attractive, confidence, kindness, and conversation. Now, leading a singles group left me wondering about a lot of things. This one in particular always puzzled me. To me, it seemed like a big need and an important area. It was something that, as a single man, I worked hard on myself, yet for some reason, I never received many questions about it. How to be attractive. Perhaps most of the singles there thought they were already attractive, or maybe they took one look at me and decided I had nothing to teach them. Or maybe they were afraid to admit they needed help, or afraid of what the answers might be. However, I did a class on it anyway, and it was one of the best received classes I ever taught. I did some local research and read some actual research and found they matched up pretty well. There are certain things that most people find attractive. I'm not going to try and cover everything today. This post will cover 3 key elements of being attractive. These aren't necessarily the top 3 ways to be attractive, but they're all important. Taken together, they're very helpful, and they have a nice alliteration. Confidence, kindness, and conversation. I could have kept with the alliteration and added character, courage, and convictions, but I'm trying to limit these posts to around 1,000 words written on the blog and, 6-7 minutes for the podcast. There's also many other things I could have mentioned that don't begin with a C sound, but I'll save those for later podcasts. But confidence ranks high on many lists of attractive qualities. Some of the studies I read and a lot of the people I asked about it on my own, I believe it would rank even higher if people realize that it is what attracts them to some people, even though they can't quite put the name to it. In a previous post, I wrote about making a list. Confidence was not on my must-have list of things I was looking for in a wife, but it was most definitely one of the things that attracted me to Anita, who I ended up marrying. When I described her attractive qualities, I would say things like, I like the way she carries herself, or she's comfortable with who she is. I might not have necessarily used the word confidence, but that's absolutely one of the things that attracted me to her. I also suspect it would rank higher on people's lists if they truly understood what it is and what it isn't. Confidence often gets lumped in or mistaken for pridefulness, pompousness, arrogance, but it's none of those things. In fact, people who are arrogant are all, well, not always, but quite often overcompensating for a lack of confidence. True confidence is not boastful. It carries itself with a boldness, and yet with a dignity that doesn't require boisterousness or bravado. When people carry themselves in a confident manner, others just find themselves attracted to them. For me, confidence was one of those fake it till you make it type of skills. First, I just did the things that confident people would do. But then while doing that, I also did the inner work to become more confident. And eventually the work paid off. I did become more confident. And this will work for you too if you just give it a shot. It's amazing to me how many people overlook the simple concept of being kind. They'll spend tons of money and do all sorts of crazy and ridiculous things trying to make themselves more attractive, but they forget this basic, yet amazingly attractive virtue. And by kindness, I don't mean weakness. In fact, I would argue that to be truly kind, you kind of have to do it from a position of strength. Real kindness does not stop you from doing what's necessary. Sometimes you have to do harsh things or say harsh things, but you can still do or say them in the kindest possible way. You don't have to add insult to injury when you're doing it. Your kindness should also not be selective. If you're kind only to the person you're trying to impress, they'll usually catch on to that. One of the things that attracted Anita to me was that I treated everyone equally well, not just the women I might be interested in. It's pretty simple. Treating people poorly is just not attractive. Treating people kindly is. Now, here's something I struggled with for a long time. See, I'm introverted by nature, and when I was younger, there was a time I was so shy. But at some point, I got over it. And I realized, I didn't have to be a brilliant conversationalist. I didn't have to constantly offer profound utterances to make pleasant conversation. However, it does help to stay informed about what's current, what's important to the people around you. That way you have things to talk about. If you're broadening the range of people and topics you read about, listen to, and watch videos about, that'll help you to be a better conversationalist. Also, learning to be a good listener really helps. There's an old saying, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So listen more, speak less. And when you listen, actively listen. What are people really trying to say? What is their body language saying to you? What are their facial expressions saying to you? As Stephen Covey teaches in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is a book I highly recommend, first seek to understand, then to be understood. And this also goes back to a biblical principle of considering others more important than yourself. In our minds, we seem to think that what we have to say is more important, more insightful, and more correct than what others in the conversation have to say. But by listening to other people in the conversation, we make them feel important. Plus, we might actually learn something from hearing their perspective. That's a win-win, which is another concept I learned from Stephen Covey's book, and something that makes you more attractive to anybody you're talking to. And these 3 things, confidence, kindness, and making good conversation, they all work well together. Because as you become more confident, then you have the confidence to engage in conversation more. And as you successfully engage in more conversations, that helps you become more confident. And then you add the kindness in there, because if you're speaking confidently and kindly, people are more willing to talk to you when they feel safe to freely speak around you. If they know you'll answer them in kindness, they're encouraged to engage with you more. So all these 3 things work together. So to be more attractive, learn to be and act more confident. Treat everyone around you kindly. And take this confidence and kindness with you into your conversations. It sounds simple, I know, but it works. And now I have a lot more to say on the topic of being attractive. So be sure to check out my other posts on the thrivesingles.com, and be sure to subscribe for more in the near future. Now, I mentioned Stephen Covey's book, Highly Effective People. The blog post on thrivesingles.com contains an affiliate link for 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you're interested in this great book, please purchase it through that link. These purchases help to make it possible for me to keep doing this. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta thrive. There's more to life than to just survive.